Okay, now that I've given you a kind of a tour of Checkpoint a little bit, I'm going to go through a sample problem that to kind of just give you an idea of how I would approach um, research problems. I'm going to toggle over to the textbook. This page right here is at the end of chapter 4. There's research problems at the end of the chapter problems at the very back. So let's look at research problem number 4. Christina soon will graduate from law school with more than $40,000 in student loans. She'd like to work as a public defender, but the pay for such a position is not enough to allow her to meet her living expenses and repay the student loans. Christina's law school offers a debt forgiveness program for graduates who enter public service, including working as a public defender. Under the program, the school will pay off the student's debt, but the graduate will owe an equal amount to the program. So that's not really paying off the debt, then she still owes it to the program. However, if the graduate remains in public service for at least 4 years, the debt is forgiven. So that looks like the key right there. Christina would like to know the federal income tax consequences to her if she decides to utilize the program. So from our work in Chapter 4, we've kind of identified that forgiveness of debt is, generally speaking, taxable income to whoever has the debt forgiven. Um, we need to, however, find out if that is true in the case of student loans being forgiven. So it's possible that there's situations where if the student loan is forgiven, but it's contingent on some kind of service by the person who owed the money, then maybe the debt forgiveness won't be taxable. So what I would do is come back into RIA here, and I don't know what code section or what to go to specifically. So I'm going to have to do a keyword search. And you get better at this as time goes by. But I'm going to type in debt forgiveness right here because that's kind of the topic that's going on. I'm going to click on the Internal Revenue Code and regulations and stuff because that's the primary source of law that rules. And I wanted to see if I get any hits. So you hit search then. And there are some hits. So here's the Internal Revenue Code. There's one result for that. So let's check that out. Section 108, income from discharge of indebtedness. All right, so that sounds like what we've got. We have a discharge of indebtedness, but that occurs in lots of different contexts. So we've got to go check out and see if this is relevant or not. Okay, so this is what you'll get when you get into a code section. It gives you the name of the code section, and then you get some, then it's outlined, like we saw in Chapter 2 in the text. And the subsection numbers are these lowercase letters in parentheses, and then you have paragraphs and subparagraphs even below that where more detail is warranted. Something I want to point out too, this little compass right here, if you hover over that, you can see that the site 108A1 in this case is the actual site that you would use. So if 108A1 provided the rule that you needed to give your answer to the problem, then when you're writing your memo up, section 108A1 would be a site that you put in your memo as being the source of the law that governs your situation. So let's just look through this. So what you basically want to do is look at these lowercase letters and see if the topic of that subsection, see if it's relevant to you. And if it's not, you can just skip to the next lowercase letter. If it is, you have to dig into the details underneath it. So exclusions from gross income, all these things, gross income does not include any of these things. So these are some exclusions from gross income, but there's no student loan stuff here. So we have to keep looking. B, reduction in tax attributes, that's not really on point, nothing to do with student loans. So you can skip everything until you get down to C. Treatment of discharge of qualified real property, that's not us. So we can skip down. D, meaning of terms, these are just like definitions. So we can skip down. E, general rule for discharge of indebtedness. So we might need to look at some of this stuff. So you would want to read this. I've looked through it, and there's nothing that we need in here. But you would need to look through that ordinarily. And then F, student loans. So I'm out of my time here, so I'm going to continue this in the next video and going through this student loan discussion.